rather than just letting them drown. And so it takes a very tight management core to be in tune with the sales force.
Excellent. So a lot of what I hear you're talking about is you're being much more immediate. You're immediate in terms of the direct response when it's going on, and just trying to keep that more of a constant.
It is very much immediate. And if it continues for too long, it does become detrimental, and it becomes much more difficult to get them refocused and redirected. So it has to be caught early on. It can't be where a manager's just not in tune with their salespeople and they're allowing them to fail for a prolonged period of time, where it becomes extremely difficult to fix it.
Are your salespeople selling, is it all new, or are they also expanding current clients that they have?
Both.
It's both. So with both of those situations, do you advise that they concentrate a little bit more in one area more than the other?
Okay, in terms of new business versus current customer business, we look for a fine balance. Each salesperson should have some current customer business working along with some new prospects. Not all of one or all the other. It's a fine balance that we've derived that works for us. A lot of the growth is coming from current customers, getting back into them and expanding with our other product offerings. And then we are experiencing our share of new business won. I think in the tough economic times, it's actually an opportunity to win new business, because accounts that would typically just re-up with their current vendors are no longer just doing that. They're going out and they're making sure that they're being priced fairly, they're being treated fairly, and that they're getting the best product. So it's actually a good opportunity as well to get in front of prospects and to tell your story.
Before we let you go, Chris, how are you being challenged as a sales leader during these tough times?
I'm being challenged very much by what's going on in the economy. It's important as a leader not to show that to my salespeople or to my sales managers, but to remain positive and to focus on what's working and not allow them to focus on what's not working, because they look to a leader to get them through the tough times, not side with them. So it's real important dealing with that to keep them focused, keep the success stories up, use industry articles that discuss how solutions in our industry are helping companies grow, and put little emphasis on the difficult times, because it definitely can eat up a sales force. My biggest challenge is just mental attitude.
Yes, yeah, that's excellent, Chris. That's a very good observation, because it might be, on the one hand, easy to empathize with people who are going through that, but they're not looking to you for that. They're looking to you to replace that fear with confidence.
Yep, I believe in my heart of hearts, if I were to waver on that, it would be detrimental to the sales force.
Thank you very much. This is terrific stuff, Chris. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, Herb, I heard Chris talk a lot about his salespeople and their competitiveness, and how he looks to hire salespeople who have been in sports and have excelled in competitive activities. So being competitive is at the heart of motivating you in a time like this.
Absolutely.
And I think that particularly competitive people, when the going gets tough, the heat gets turned on and they become even more driven to win.
It's the need to beat the situation. And what's good about it is, if you now go to work and make sure that your sales force, even if it's a smaller sales force, but to make sure you don't burn territory by exposing potential customers to people who will fail them, who will lose them, it's going to force you into a situation where, when the economy does turn, not only are you going to survive okay during tough times, but you're going to be 10 times better off, because it would have forced you to do what maybe you were too complacent to do in better times, and that is make sure you've got the very best people working for you and managing them in the very best ways, rewarding achievement and cutting where achievement is obviously not in the cards.
That's a good point. So as an executive, from a business perspective, these tough times can force you to focus on what's important, come up with better, more streamlined ways, as you said, and come out of this with making sure that you have the right people. I'm wondering, from a psychological perspective in these tough times, if it's different, that ability to thrive under pressure.
There is more pressure. There is something in that, and that's one of the things you do want to look at when you hire. And I'm glad you raised this point, Patrick. Mm-hmm. Some people rise to the occasion, or the individual who's maybe a great performer but wants routine, needs to have complete control of the situation, performs beautifully under that context, but maybe can't balance 10 things at the air at the same time.
Right, because some of us, when the pressure gets on and it almost seems like it's too much to bear, We reach inside of ourselves and we come up with an idea that we wouldn't have before, and we go, oh, hey, that could do it. Others just kind of collapse.
That is the distinction, because we all are feeling pressure.
Well, this has been great. Very, very fascinating. We started off with the essentials, as you identified, Herb, early on in the beginning of Caliper and in some of your early articles in the Harvard Business Review. Top salespeople absolutely need empathy, the ability to connect with people, the ability to understand where people are coming from. They have to be driven to persuade, to bring others around to their point of view, and then they need to be able to handle rejection and to get past it, to get beyond it, to view rejection as a learning experience. Nothing personal, just a necessary step to the next sale. We've heard from Gerhard Schwantner, the publisher of Selling Power, who's been able to talk to us about replacing fear with confidence, maintaining your value, and lowering your risk. And he reminded us that this is the time in sales to go on the offense. Dan Sheridan, Vice President of Sales at Extensis, was able to reshape his entire sales force and prepare his team to deal with these tough times. He said his top salespeople are willing to do things that 90% of most salespeople are not. A lot has to do with activity, sticking to a structured sales process, putting in the extra hours before 9 o'clock and after 5. His top salespeople, he told us, turn up that competitive drive. They live for these situations. Those are the people who come out on top. Then Tim Barr, a vice president of sales at Telesource Systems, told us how he connects with his salespeople, listens to them, and leads them along rather than pushing them to meet their numbers. His top performers who are seasoned, he told us, will come in and congratulate a young pup who just got a big deal. Then they'll say, get back on the phone. Now's the time to call. Are you ever going to be more excited than you are right now? And you know what? Your customers are going to understand that. And finally, Chris Pearson, the director of sales at Stratix Systems, was able to shed light on how a leader should be confidently coaching their people through these tough times and staying optimistic while promoting that competitiveness that we talked about earlier. In addition, I've learned from these sales leaders that to win in these tough times, it takes one other thing. It's about connecting with your prospects and clients in a real and meaningful way. If that connection is fake, it'll break when the times get tough. And if that connection is strong, it will become even stronger. Because during these tough times, we are all looking to connect with people who can help us. We're looking to make safer, smarter, faster decisions that will help us grow. That's the connection that the best salespeople can make. Thank you so much for joining us today. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but we will be sure to address all the questions you've sent in as soon as possible. Again, all registrants will receive an email with links to the recording and slides for today's presentation. More information on hiring and developing top salespeople is available on our website at caliperonline.com. That's www.caliperonline.com. Again, if any of you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at 609-524-1200 or email us at info@calipercorp.com. Thank you for attending today's session.